I think it's pretty safe to say that our current football season is being one of the most interesting in recent times. La Liga is currently led by Girona, Bayern is in serious threat of losing their 11-year streak of Bundesliga titles, and the Premier League has already seen various teams occupy the top position. And to make it even better, we're only at the halfway point with 5 international tournaments that could bring even more drama to the mix. But what if I told you that exactly 20 years ago, football went through a much crazier year? In this video, you and I will travel back to 2004 and relive all the drama, shocking upsets and the controversial moments in the most extraordinary year in football history. But before we start, here's a word from our sponsor, you sitting there watching. If you subscribe, you join an ever-growing football community and I'll push this video to more people. It's free, and if you don't like the video, you can just unsubscribe in the end. Now without further ado, let's get right to it. To start off, let's start with the most well-known underdog story from this year, Porto winning the Champions League. Perhaps due to the Dragons being coached by Jose Mourinho, that win is still a very well-known fact to most fans, even to those who weren't watching or even alive during that period. But Porto winning the trophy was just a cherry on top of an already glitched tournament. I mean, just look at the groups. Lyon above Bayern, Lokomotiv Moscow sending Inter to the UEFA Cup, Group C just impossible to imagine happening in our current day and age, Sparta Prague advancing to the round of 16, and Celta Vigo in second place of a Champions League group. Furthermore, many of our usual suspects didn't even qualify to the Champions League. Barcelona, Liverpool, Atletico and Dortmund were all absent. And then came the round of 16, where upsets shouldn't really be called upsets because it kinda became the norm at that point. Porto and Deportivo La Coruña, currently playing the third tier of Spanish football, eliminated Manchester United and Juventus respectively, who were at the time arguably in the top 3 of the biggest clubs in the world. Then in the quarterfinals, Monaco eliminated Los Galácticos, who due to their incredible star power were seen by many as the favourites to win the trophy. But perhaps even more impressive was Deportivo losing 4-1 against Milan at the San Siro, only to thrash them 4-0 on their own turf. This victory was not only against the then current holders of the title, but also a total assassination of one of the best defenses in the world. When the semis rolled around, the newly reached Chelsea were the favourites, but the Blues got completely humbled by Monaco. Still, despite having eliminated Chelsea and Real Madrid, Mourinho's boys were too much for Monaco, and the final ended with a 3-0 thrashing in favour of FC Porto. A Portuguese team that nowadays would see a quarter-final as a massive success were the undisputed kings of Europe. Little did we know that 20 years would pass and no Champions League winner would be nearly as extraordinary as FC Porto. But this unlikely Champions League victory was just the tip of an iceberg of unprecedented triumphs. In Germany, the country that hosted that iconic Champions League final, Werder Bremen won both the Bundesliga and DFB Pokal, mainly due to their star man Ailton, who I can assume with a certain degree of confidence you have never heard about. Especially considering he scored 28 goals that season and then never came close of matching those numbers again. If we travel to England, we'll also find many bizarre things. To start off, both Tottenham and Man City barely avoided relegation, but I'm sure that at the time, more people were shocked with Everton's presence in that fight for survival. Little did they know how common it would become less than 2 decades later. Arsenal would win the league without suffering a single loss, a feat that hasn't been matched in 20 years. Their star man Thierry Henry was absolutely on fire that season, but surprisingly, his stunning performances weren't enough to conquer the Ballon d'Or. That honor went to Shevchenko, who boasted inferior numbers and accolades compared to the French star. In fact, the most outrageous thing was that Henry couldn't even crack the top 3, as Deco and Ronaldinho, who finished this campaign trophyless, wrapped up the podium. But I digress. Going back to Arsenal's triumph, it's worth to note that their overall campaign isn't as impressive as it might appear at first sight. The Gunners drew 12 times and their 90 points campaign was surpassed by 11 sides over the last 20 years, some of which didn't even win the league. Looking at the other domestic competitions, Middlesbrough, currently a mid-table championship side getting destroyed 6-1 by Chelsea, won the League Cup, eliminating several big teams on their way to the final against none other than Bolton Wanderers. Another club would suffer a massive fall from grace. Regarding the FA Cup, Man United were the winners, which by itself isn't anything surprising. However, the team they defeated in the final was none other than Millwall. So when you're at the bar with your friends, you can always surprise them by telling that the first trophy that Cristiano Ronaldo won in his career was against goddamn Millwall. Moving on to sunny Spain, and we'd also find a dramatic season that I'm sure Spanish fans will never forget. In 2003-2004, Real Madrid's Galácticos were at full force. Figo, Ronaldo, Raúl, Zidane, Beckham, Roberto Carlos, Casillas, there were so many stars. But at the same time, there were so many egos. And from a tactical point of view, little to no valid options on the bench. So when the pressure increased, Los Galácticos completely dropped the ball. They really went from first place to fourth in La Liga, got eliminated in the Champions League quarterfinals, and they couldn't even salvage a Copa del Rey win against Zaragoza. But in Real's defense, Zaragoza was going through perhaps the greatest period in their history. Gabriel Milito, Savio, and David Villa were the brightest stars who helped turn their dream into a reality. When it comes to the biggest winners that year, that honor has to go to Valencia. Los Che enjoyed a marvelous season by conquering not only the Spanish League, but also the UEFA Cup and later the UEFA Super Cup. Although they would become the last team outside the top 3 to win La Liga, it's ridiculous to think this feat was merely achieved due to luck. Valencia had an inspired striker in Mista who bagged 24 goals in all competitions and an even better defense who only let 27 goals past them in 38 matches. Neither Real, nor Barca, nor Deportivo came close of matching their solid form. But no feat at club level can really match what happened in international football that year. On the 29th of April 2004, San Marino recorded their first and to this date only victory in their history in a match against Liechtenstein, beating them 1-0. Can 2024 be the year where we witness their second ever triumph? Who knows, but if we were to repeat history, I would much rather witness another massive underdog victory like the one Greece had in Euro 2004. At the start of the tournament, the holders France, Italy and the host Portugal were seen as the most likely candidates to win the whole thing, while Greece was at the bottom, with only Switzerland and Latvia registering worse odds to win the tournament. For example, that would be the same as Romania winning Euro 2004. Either way, I don't think you can say Greece only won the competition due to luck. They had a clear plan that I've explained in detail in this video, and their opponents never took them seriously. Portugal, France, Czech Republic and Portugal again were their victims on the road to a win they would never be able to achieve again. Wow, what a ride. So many football seasons go by where barely any relevant upset happens, and in 2004 they all occurred at the same time. Could this be a phenomenon that happens every 20 years? I mean, back in 1984, Stuttgart, Athletic Bilbao and Bordeaux won their respective leagues, so maybe it's a sign that this year something phenomenal could happen and shake football right down to its core. Thank you for watching until the end. I appreciate you, and I will see you soon.